So, as today the subject is about the very, very basic element of our philosophy, and that's called in Sanskrit Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, or how to be simultaneously one and different. So just to illustrate that, there is a wonderful shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna describes his potencies, just examples, how he can be perceived, how we can see God in this material world. So nobody can say, show me God, and we cannot show him God. Bhagavad Gita shows us and demonstrates how people show God. Krishna is describing in the 8th chapter, this called Knowledge of the Absolute, about different aspects how he is manifesting in this material world. Very practical examples. So like in text 8, he's saying, Vrashoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashishuryaho pranavaha sarvavedeshu shabdaha ke paurusham rishu. O Arjuna, O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and the ability in man. Srila Prabhupada explains, this verse explains how the Lord is all-pervasive by his diverse material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be preliminarily perceived by his different energies. And in this way he is realized impersonally. As the demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energy, the sunshine, similarly the Lord also in his eternal abode is perceived by his all-pervading diffusive energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink sea water because the pure taste of the water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme. Practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and the personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achinta Bheda and Abheda Tattvam, simultaneously one and different. So that's, of course, very difficult for somebody to understand who is not in Krishna consciousness, who is not aware of God. Like when you see there are devotees of Krishna, but they actually worship first, or they respect, to say at least, his energies that they can see. There is energies around us all the time. There is powers around us all the time, which are far beyond our understanding and our control. I give a simple example. There is one power which is constantly present, one energy. It's called gravity. Everything is pulled down. As soon as I lift up something, there is a weight to it. If I drop it, it will not go up, it goes down. Everything goes down. There's a magnetism, there is a power there. But it's so common and it's everywhere that people don't even understand it. They struggle with it all the time. All the time things are falling down, you know. All the time we are falling down, you know, everything is down. But nobody asks, what is the power? Why not up? To get up is always more difficult than to go down. To go down, you don't have to do anything. You just let it go and plep, you know. You go down the stairs very fast. Going up the stairs requires some struggle. So, why is it? Who arranged for all this? People think, well, this is not very nice. Things are falling down all the time. I have to struggle all the time to get up. You know, it's not very nice. No, it's wonderful. Just imagine it wouldn't be there. Just imagine there will be for 1 minute no gravity. Total chaos. I will speak and I suddenly this will go, and the microphone will go this way, and you know, it will be instant chaos. So gravity keeps everything in order. You know, you just sit down, that's it. If there will be no gravity, you would sit down and you will be floating somewhere, you know. So, I mean, it's a very powerful thing, but nobody thinks about these things. And there are so many other energies. Scientists are examining this. Yes, they do. Sometimes very accurately. They go, now. Prabhupada said, the essence of science is that they watch apples. Now, from the tree, the apple comes. Oh, scientific examination. And then they go, now the apple is getting bigger. Oh. And then they go, now the apple fell down. Bang! Big scientific studies. They do studies about this. You know, yeah. Well, you don't have to go to university to study that. You just sit in a garden and watch the apple falling down on your head. That's all. I mean, what is the use of this? Prabhupada said for this they spent money. So much money. I mean, Sweden, how many educational institutions are there? The whole Lund is full of this. Everybody is studying something. Now it comes out. Now it falls down. Now it comes out. Now it falls down. I mean, for what reason? Well, there is a reason. They try to get grip of it and control it for their own purpose. No, they cannot. It blows into their face. Actually, some of the biggest scientific discoveries were happening completely accidentally. You know, with no big research. Penicillin. You know how penicillin came up? It's a fungus. And this scientist was so dirty, he had fungus in his laboratory everywhere. So he thought, oh, let's examine the fungus. Oh, there's fungus everywhere. So let's examine it. And then he examined the fungus, and that was the penicillin. You know, just a fungus, because he was so dirty. One dirty scientist. A big discovery. When the first atomic bomb was blown up, they knew this is going to be big. They still didn't know what will happen. Mr. Oppenheimer was betting with his friends, will this Big Bang lighten up the atmosphere or not? Let's see. They had no idea about radiation. There was thousands and thousands of soldiers. They knew it's going to be a Big Bang, so they had sunglasses. And they were standing so close to the atomic explosion, they got all blasted by the radiation. And they all died eventually. Nobody knew anything about anything. But it's science. Let's blow it up and see what happens. You know? Yeah? I mean, this is essentially what is happening around us all the time. You know, they have no idea about the consequences what they are doing. But that will be another lecture, another issue. Today we are supposed to speak about simultaneous oneness and difference, which primarily Prabhupada always described God in this way. But since we are small parts of God, we have our own little experience of that too. But let's first talk about God. How He is one and simultaneously different. He can do that. Prabhupada gives a simple example of a bank director who is running the whole bank. One signature, yeah. Now we have one of the biggest bank directors, Mr. Trump, managing in America. One signature, poof. The man is hired or the man is fired. Just like this. No explanation even. Yeah. You will be hired. Very good. There was recently a girl in the audience. Mr. Trump seems to be very attractive to females. So she was so charmed by Mr. Trump speaking. And he noticed, of course. Even he's a married man, reasonably married man. But his wife must really take a lot. Because there are so many females all the time flocking around him. And of course he enjoys that too, So he noticed in the audience there was, it's recorded, There was a girl in the audience, she was like, Mr. Trump speaking, So he couldn't help it after the lecture. He invited the girl to come on a stage. And she was like, He had no idea who it is. And he said, this lady seems to be very capable woman. I think we can use her, isn't it? Then he looked at the other team of the other members and he said, we have a place for her, isn't it? We can hire some secretary, isn't it? And they were like, well, okay, we will find some place for her. And she was hired immediately. She was part of the Trump team. A lady from the audience. Of course, she wasn't ugly. That's a fact. I think that was probably the only quality she had. But she was hired immediately. Well, that's called playing God. And one thing, Mr. Trump really has a problem. He cannot be one and simultaneously different. He is now fully one with everything, trying to control everything. But is he also different? Simultaneously, the word simultaneously is important. Now, example like we are now sitting here. That's one function we do. But then we go home and we are different. Yeah. We go to sleep and we are definitely different. Yeah. We go to the toilet. I don't want to go in detail how different we may be, but we are not in a shape we are now. But Krishna, or God, He can be simultaneously everything. Different and simultaneously one. All at once. Well, we cannot copy that. We are too limited, yeah. People try sometimes. They try to do many things. And then usually it's called burned out. They just completely flipped out. This is too much. It's falling on my head. Yeah. Actually, even intellectual people, it happens to them all the time. They invent things, Writers, it happens to writers. I am coming from an artistic community, and I know what can happen to an artist. Like Mr. Picasso was a famous artist. He could paint 50 paintings at once. He was one with 50 paintings at once. But it was based on his mind and on his imagination. It became so crazy that he started to hate these paintings and he burned them all sometimes. He just destroyed them because he was haunted by his own creation. What have I done? And he tried to be perfect, and it was never perfect. There was always something missing. In every painting you find imperfections. It can never be really perfect because we are not perfect. But God, He is creating. He's facilitating. He is controlling. And simultaneously, he's doing his own thing too. Completely at once. This is shocking when you start to get a glimpse of it. They say God is big. They say, religious people say God is big. They don't know how big he is. Sometimes they limit God only to be in a church. But as soon as they go out of the church, they do any nonsense because they think, oh, now God is gone. He is not here anymore. You know? Yeah. I don't want to be too specific. In India, it's really funny to see that. People go to the temple and they go, and then they go on the street and they go, you know, they lighten up the bidi, you know, and then they go, you know, yeah. This is not just Indian thing. This is everywhere you find, you know, yeah. So this is the lowest platform of devotion. There's some devotion, definitely, but it's limited to our understanding. But God, when you start to understand, He is simultaneously one and different. He is always one, even now here with us, and simultaneously different. For some people, it's a quite scary idea. I thought He's different. He's out there. God is, you know, but He is also one. He is here right now, watching, seeing, controlling. Then people start to get nervous. For a real devotee, it's no problem. He loves this. He loves actually. Oh, this is a good news. I almost thought God forgot me. You know, I almost thought, here I'm struggling. What is this to do with God? You know, yeah, people get these moments when they go, yeah, well, where is God here? You know, I'm struggling here. You know, yeah. But as a devotee, you learn that God is behind everything. Not even blade of grass can move without His permission. So for a real devotee, it never happens to him that he goes, oh no, my God. They always go, my God, what happened? Then you will never see a devotee doing this. You know, what to speak of blaming God for something. No. He knows everything is perfectly adjusted. Everything has a reason. Nothing is accidental. That word accident is, Prabhupada hated this. He said, I will accidentally slap you in the face. That was his answer. People go, you slapped me. You go, what do you mean I slapped you? It's just an accident. Accidentally my hand went like this. And now my foot goes like this. You kicked me. It was just an accident. Prabhupada really couldn't accept this word accident and chance. He hated that word chance. By chance. What chance? Everything has a cause and reaction. Cause, reaction. It's just sometimes the reaction is a little bit delayed. We don't see the cause. But there was a cause. It's like when you get sick. You don't see how you got infected. And it takes a little while maybe before you get really sick. But every doctor knows there was infection. And now comes the result. You are sick. So everything in our lives is like that. There is no accident. So a devotee, he is somebody who is cultivating more and more his awareness of this fact that God is different. You can read in our books in the revealed scriptures, you can read what God is doing in His free time. It's just for us, free time means after the working time. For God, free time is all the time and simultaneous to the working time. Actually, Krishna says, you know, I'm also working, yeah. I'm maintaining the universes. I'm doing this. Somebody has to do that, you know. But simultaneously I am not one with that. Simultaneously I am on holiday. Try to be simultaneously on holiday and work simultaneously. Impossible. Doesn't work. God, no problem. No problem. He is God. He has so many multifunctions and dimensions that we cannot even describe them. We are discovering them all the time. You mean this is also God? Oh. And that is also God? Oh. And like people have a big problem. Like I think in the Christian tradition it's very much propagated, God is love. Yeah, that's true, but what about the hatred? Where's the ugliness, the hatred, and the cruelty coming from? You know, they have no answer for that. They get confused. And how is it possible if God is love, then people can be so cruel and it's obviously facilitated. They get intelligence how to be cruel. The real big demons, they are very intelligent how to be cruel, how to be, I mean, when you see, like, well, I was partially growing up in Germany. Never saw such an intelligent way to be cruel. But there's another dimension to it. There's another country which I also discovered, which is even better. Like in Germany, when people are cruel, you can see it. They're organized. You stand here, you will be shot like this. You go in at guest chamber number 13. It's perfectly organized, the cruelty. There's another country where same thing is happening, but you don't see it. It's so perfectly organized that you will not even know you are going to a guest chamber. You think this is your new home. That country is called Sweden, but that's another thing, that's a detail. So, so perfect, absolutely perfect. So, why we can sit here and say that? Because we don't mean anything to people who control this. Once we would start to mean something, they will come and take care of you. Here in this country, they always take care of you. Like they will take care of you, they will put you in a place you never come out. Yeah. But people don't know that. People think we are free. Really, really. You're really free. Yeah. Who is free? That's another issue, another theme. One could speak for hours about that. Are we really free? And we are certainly not simultaneously indifferent in a capacity of God. But in our little ways, we can be a little bit simultaneously one and different. I will give you an example now. We have here Bhakta Dimitri, who is simultaneously one and different from his family. Because his family is right now in Russia. His children, everybody. And they are definitely connected, otherwise they are for sure connected. Sometimes separation can be even more intense as being united. When you're united, you go, yeah, I know. But when you are disunited from somebody you really like very much, it becomes intense, very intense. There's one famous prostitute mentioned in our scriptures, says that the separation is more sweet and it's more intense as the unification. You know where it comes from? It comes from spiritual platform. Krishna himself sometimes, from his most intimate associates, he disconnects himself and disappears, just to churn more the attachment. And then he appears again. You can read in our books how it's happening. I'm not going to go more in detail because this is very intimate. But, teasing each other, You know, we all find it. I mean, those who don't know it, they are not married. You know, that's all. Once you are married, you get to taste all this. You know, Krishna himself shows by telling one of his wives, "Why are you married to me? There were so many princes eager to marry you, much more better as I am, much more qualified, you know, much more capable. I am here, you don't even know anything about me. I am born in a family of cowherd boys. That's not very big big royal dynasty. And then suddenly I became a king. How do you know how that happened? You don't know anything about me. You are serving me so devotionally here. But I think there are better men out there. Go and find somebody else." When you tell this to a woman who is very attached to you, it's devastating. She will not allow even the thought coming in your head. Of course, I don't know here around, but probably, probably it will not happen like that. Probably some woman will say, "Oh, okay, well, maybe you are right. Maybe there are some better guys out there. Bye-bye." But it didn't happen in Krishna's case. Rukmini, the queen, was so devastated just by the thought that she fainted. And then Krishna got worried. "Oh no, I made a joke and she's fainting." So he grabbed her and he said, "No, it was joke, it was joke." And then, and then the whole thing turns into a positive thing. So again, separation, unification, separation, unification. It intensifies the rasa of the relationship. In a perverted form, we find it in the material world also. So we can be a little bit one and different. I think April you will be one again with your family. Now you are different. So, but simultaneously they know who you are, what you are, and you know where they are. So you are one, but simultaneously different. We can experience it to some degree in this material world. Now, what does it all mean in our life? What does it mean actually? It means actually a lot. Because when you understand, we all want to be one, but we don't want to be different. Oh, that's a problem. People always speak about unification. Let's be one. And then on the way, they become different again. Friends become even enemies. People we used to know, they change. Why? Well, because we are also different. Now, how to combine this? How to be one and different simultaneously? Without Krishna consciousness, it's not possible. Because without Krishna consciousness, we will be captured by the dualities. There is love, there is hatred. There is union, there is separation. But in Krishna consciousness, on the level of Krishna consciousness, we can be united. And simultaneously, we can be very different. Srila Prabhupada showed us how to do that. There's one devotee who writes to him, "Prabhupada, now you left. Now we are separated." And Prabhupada told him, "No, we are never separated. On a spiritual platform, we are never separated. As long as you serve Krishna and you accept me as your guru, we are never separated." Therefore, we have in Krishna consciousness, we have Vani, that's called the service to the instruction, which is identical with the spiritual authority. And Vapu means service directly, personally. And as we know, in a material world, this Vapu regime is temporary. Even we would be very united now here, right? We are going to be separated again. Maybe you can say, okay, let's lock the doors. Nobody will go out. we will unite now. We will be united. First of all, it's not possible. And second of all, time. Time is the factor which will separate us again. That was the first time we met.
No.
80 what?
81, yeah, right. I just came to Sweden.
81, 82.
Yeah.
Huh? That was the first time I saw him. And there were so many years we were separated. He didn't even know where I am. I didn't know where you are. And now we are united kind of again here. You know.
I had always a little control from the friends.
Yeah.
Devotees, so I knew.
I knew that you exist.
Yeah.
So somewhere we are always united. Simultaneously we are also separated. So Prabhupada gives a nice example, that's from the scriptures. The living entities in the material world are sometimes united, like Prabhupada gives an example of a bunch of straw floating on the wild river. And when the river flows, the current, sometimes you see the grass is collecting. It creates even a heap of grass, you know. And then the level of the water is rising, and then it's separated again by the stream, torn apart. That's how we get united and disconnected in the material world. But in a spiritual sense, no, we don't have to be. We are not under dictation of physical conditions. Ahaituki apratihata is called. A devotional service is not, not conditioned by this, by material conditions. Or Prabhupada also translated, it does not require material conditions. It can be eternally united. So now I know that you are a devotee, and I hope I'm a devotee, so... And then we meet each other, we are united. Why? Because we were actually united in some way all the time. He was chanting Hare Krishna, I was chanting Hare Krishna. He was remembering Krishna, I was remembering Krishna. That unification can never be broken. But simultaneously we are also separated. So this is just a little example of that. Yeah? Like in India, because the culture is much higher, they don't take unification and separation just for one lifetime. You know? I don't know if they have it in India, but in Christian tradition, at the marriage, they say, you are married now until the death tears you apart. Do they have such a thing in India too?
Yes, it's true.
But it's very limited.
Oh, they cannot,
Because you can be united even after the death. Who said not? You see how Christian tradition, how conditioned it is. They think actually the death is just finished. This is a finish of the relationship. No. From Bhagavad Gita we can learn the relationship can go lifetime after lifetime. You know, you can even switch. One lifetime you are the husband, next lifetime you are the wife. In the next lifetime the wife becomes a husband, and it goes back and forth. They never get rid of each other. Because they are not finished yet. I mean, sometimes the astrological, the karmic thing is, we don't see it, fortunately. Just imagine, you would have a husband or you would have a wife remembering, oh no, you know, she was the one who gave me so much hard time in the last lifetime. Would be not very inspiring. So Krishna makes us forget, and we are born again, and we go, hello, I'm very attracted to this girl. Why? Well, because I was attracted to her in the last lifetime. It's as simple as that. Or, I have something to do with her which I couldn't do in the last lifetime. Like pay her back for something. It can happen. I don't want to be autobiographical, but my story will be wonderfully illustrating that. However, sometimes the husband or the wife are wondering, why is my husband, why is my wife so cruel? What have I done? What have I done? Ah, you have done, but in a previous lifetime, not now. And we think, oh, I didn't do anything in this lifetime. No, not in this lifetime, in previous lifetime. And now it's coming back on you. It happened to me. It's at that moment I forgot all this, what I'm talking about. I was just shocked. I was just, what have I done? Because I thought in the limits of this one lifetime. No. This was just a payback because I did this to that person in previous lifetime. And what better way you can pay somebody back as to get married to him or to her? It's very close. But even more you can do to somebody as being born as his child. You know, we don't know. We don't know. We think we love our children. It's completely natural. Of course, we must love our children because they are depending on us, you know. So we love them naturally. But we don't know who they are, really. We will find out who they are. You know, yeah. So in this way we meet and separate in this world. Back and forth, it goes all the time. It never stops until we come to the level of Krishna consciousness. Because then it's not so important. There we learn to tolerate. Okay, now this person used to love me, now it hates me. I didn't do anything really, but that's my destiny. I can tolerate. Of course, there's a limits. If one like one of these two really doesn't hate me, but hates Krishna consciousness, me as a devotee, I cannot go along with that. Even Srila Prabhupada gave that permission. No, now you must separate. This is not possible. You know, yeah. The husband is drunk all the time. The wife became a prostitute. What can you do with that? It's individual choices. What can you do? But I tell you one thing. Sometimes even that is temporary. We see it an example of devotees. Sometimes devotees, especially here in the West. In India, the tradition is still far, far more binding, you know. Yeah. Here in the West, we are all very new in Krishna consciousness. Actually, we are sitting here only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, you know. Yeah. So we are very new to it, and we know very well how the material world works. Sometimes so well that we became a devotees because we think, no, this is so hellish, I don't want to go back to this anymore. In India, the problem is sometimes people don't believe really it can be so hellish because they have such a pious background. That's our problem too, you know. But here, we know where the hell is. It's just around the corner. We know. Like, just a little bit of the track example. Prabhupada liked when devotees played theatre, devotional theatre, you know. Yeah, from our books, we have so many theatre ideas, how to play theatre. We tried in Stockholm also, we were playing theatre. We had one Mataji, she was very expert. She was very expert in outfits and making masks and this. So we played theatre, Ramayan, you know, and things like that. And then to find somebody who played demon, no problem. You know, all devotees, expert demons, they knew. But to find somebody who is playing Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, difficult. You know, yeah. So, like there's a recording of myself playing Ramayan from Stockholm. Very wonderful, elaborate piece. Could show you later on photos. I was, of course, Ravana, you know. I could be such a nice demon. I got a big applause for that. The devotees were saying, oh, he's playing the demon so nicely. No, Not much playing. I know. I know how to be arrogant and obstinate, and proof, no problem. This is the place I grew up with. So, in India, sometimes when they play demons, it doesn't look very convincing. They look like, but actually, Prabhupada said, originally in Indian plays, most of the parts were played by women, the devotional parts, because they are more suitable for that. They could play they're more expressively in this. Anyway, it's a detail. So to be one and simultaneously different, not easy for us. But it's good to know what our nature is as small parts of God. Yeah, we are facing the same situations, and we can be only simultaneously one and different in Krishna consciousness, united on the spiritual way, and simultaneously being ourselves individually. There's always a trouble in the material world. What is too much, what is too little? What is really independence? In a Vedic society, it was perfectly arranged. Like there were issues, just example, there were issues and there were parts of life which actually the male and female was completely disconnected. Because there are ways only females can deal with females. Men have no place in it. They don't even understand one thing. Actually, generally, what do men understand about women? They think, oh no, I understand her. Well, just wait for the surprise. Or she thinks, oh no, he understands me. Yeah, really? Just wait. There will be for sure a moment coming, you think, doesn't he understand? Doesn't she understand? That's the moment where we are different. So in a Vedic society, it was perfectly facilitated. There were issues, you wouldn't see a woman being involved. And there were issues, you wouldn't see a man involved. Why? He has no idea. Because the division is completely naturally already given there. Women can do things men cannot do, and men can do things women cannot do. Why not just keep it that way, and this is it? It's just a question of logic and common sense. Of course, nowadays in this society, logic and common sense is a hard way to find. It's all mixed up. Not only mixed up by social structure, but it's also mixed up in a different way. Oh, that's an issue again. About each single point I could speak for hours, but our time is limited. How we get mixed up more by having mixed up children. Because we know from the scriptures, the consciousness of the parents at the point where the child enters defines the nature of the child, who is coming. Birds of the same feather flock together. So people have no idea today about this. I knew example of even my godbrothers, once again speaking about the West, especially from the first generations of devotees here in the West. Some came already with children. Rarely, because we were all young people, very young people. But some came with children. These children were not really born in Krishna consciousness. Neither they were produced in Krishna consciousness. They were produced on an open-air rock and roll festival where the parents were both completely intoxicated. So what do you expect who is coming? Who will be born under such circumstances? Yeah. So no wonder then the child starts to grow up and you realize, oh, this is a monster. We got a little monster growing up. Yeah, naturally, because it was produced under monstrous circumstances. This is a very serious point in a Vedic culture. Receiving children is serious. It's like planting a seed. If you plant a seed of a cactus, don't expect some lilies coming out. No, it's going to be cactus, you know that. I remember once I tried to plant our holy Tulasi plant. You know, yeah. It was quite some years. I was in Krishna consciousness. I had a little preaching center. I said, it's so nice to have a Tulasi. So I collected earth, got Tulasi seeds, and planted the Tulasi seed in the earth. Watered it nicely. And then, very quickly, pop, a little plant came out. I was going, wow, this is amazing. This is going very well. So I kept on watering, and the plant was growing and growing. And then the first leaves came out. And I was going, I know how Tulasi leaves look like. They look similar, but they are a little bit like zigzag, like this. You know. And I was going, okay, I kept on watering. More leaves came out. Until I realized that I am cultivating, in Swedish it's called brännässlor. One of the worst forms of wheat. It grows fast. So it was not a holy plant, this was a weed. And I watered it nicely, you know, because I planted the seed, actually in the earth I collected in a garden, was the seed of that brännässlor. So naturally that seed came up, and the Tulasi seed was not coming up. So, you know, so that was my first time and last time in my lifetime I planted Tulasi. I will never do this again. So, you know, so depends what you plant. The serious point, there could be a whole lecture about this, you know, for the young ones. And for the old ones, also good, because then they understand why their children didn't become like they wanted them to be sometimes. Of course, because the seed was planted under particular circumstances. And then, of course, there comes the influence from outside. That's also there. Prabhupada said children are like butter. They can be molded. Butter is soft. That's a fact. But you cannot change the quality of butter. The quality is already there. You can only shape it and facilitate it and do something with it. But you cannot change it. No. So much for the children thing. So, you know, so parents, families, we all try to become one. And then we realize we are different too. There's a time, like in the life of a child, where a child wants to be different. And it shows the parents, I am different. It's called puberty. You know, yeah, I am different. Don't order me all the time. I am different. I want to do things differently. And the parents are like, be careful, be careful. You know, don't do it. This is dangerous. Don't do that. How do I know? They want to try things. It's a very creative time, actually. It's very creative, sometimes dangerously creative. That's the problem, you know. But it's a proof that we are different. Suddenly we are not one. It starts actually much earlier. I just had a conversation with one of the friends I have. He's helping me very much on the internet, you know, organizing my webpage and this. And he has 2 boys, small, but they are very heavy. Now the amazing thing is, they are not heavy with him. Because amongst men, that's why it's the man attitude, you know. Our father, yeah, he's a man. But with the mother, all the time. And it is as you described, that actually boys are quite very attached to the mother. And the mother can be very attached to the boy. You know. But they are fighting all the time. He just gave me a little drama, you know, on the internet. He wrote to me. The mother goes, you know, if you are like this, then I will leave you. It's enough of this. Because he just tried to play with matches, putting the whole house almost on fire. Anyway, so, you know, she said, it's enough. Then I will leave you. And he goes first, but I want to do this. Leave me alone. I said, okay, I will leave you alone. I will leave. No, I don't want you to leave. And then he cries even more. It's a whole drama, you know. So this is one and simultaneously different. It gets very dramatical on the way, you know. So we can experience in our life also this one and different. It can become very dramatical. But if you understand where it comes from, the origin, from the spiritual platform, then also our level of tolerance is increasing 1,000 times. We just know, okay, now we are one. Okay, now we are different. Okay, now we are one again. Now we are different again. You tolerate. And tolerance is not easy. There has to be actually a real tolerance. Can come only from intelligence. Stupid people are not tolerant. They pretend sometimes to be tolerant. They go, I don't care, I'm a very tolerant person. I don't care. And you tell him, oh, you are really tolerant. People can say whatever they want. No, I'm very tolerant. I don't think you are tolerant. I think you are stupid. Hey! In 1 second, all the tolerance is out of the window. Because the false ego, his pride, is coming out immediately. I used to, when I was living in Germany, I used to tease devotees like that, you know. They go, yeah, I think I'm very tolerant. I think I'm pure devotee, actually. In the early days, you could hear things like that. It was amazing. You know, a 19 years old kid thinking he is a pure devotee. So I think, yeah, I feel like a pure devotee. And it's very simple to test. You go, I don't think you are a pure devotee. Well, you know, look at the mirror. Pure devotees are not like that. So, where is the pure devotee now? So we cannot hide our conditioning and we cannot hide our nature. And Krishna consciousness is not a place to hide. Sorry, it's rather opposite. We become more and more exposed. Both ways, materially and spiritually. Now those who actually are serious, for them it's a good news. They go, my God, now I don't have to pretend anything anymore. Because as soon as you go out on the street, you must pretend. Hello, hello, I'm this, you know. And who is you? Well, yes, I'm this. People dress even like that, you know. Today I was driving a car in Lund. I saw a young man. He was obviously from a university, but he dressed up like an intellectual from the 18th century. Because that's where he came from, actually. He looked very, he walked even like this. He was very distinct from others with the dress. I am the intellectual here. Yes. Well, this is a show. Maybe when you scratch a little bit under the surface, you will find a completely lonely, desperate man crying in his loneliness. But outside, yeah. So we have to be like that. You know, yeah. This is why what I like more about India and Slavian countries. The level of pretense is not so sophisticated, not so big. When people like you or hate you, you get to know this. Here you don't know anything. They'll go, hey son, hiya, no, back, no. You know? You never know anything because people are so covered, so double, and they think this is very nice. This is very, very intelligent. Nobody knows who I am really, isn't it? I'm really good. Well, it doesn't fit into Krishna consciousness at all. Because in Krishna consciousness, we are what we are. And if somebody says, well, I think I'm stupid, very good. That's the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we start to hear because we don't know. Now we want to know. And we start to hear. Oh, that's very good. That's very good for Krishna consciousness. You know, in India, it brought a memory to me. I came to India first time in 1978. It was a different India like today. Finally, after being in Krishna consciousness, 78, I was 6 years in Krishna consciousness. You know, I was 24 years old by that time. So I came to India first time. I was going, it's all pure devotees here. It's all, because from the scriptures we read, all India, and wow, Krishna appeared here, and wow. My first realization was when I came in Delhi out of the airplane, which was very simple airport, not like today, no. My first realization was, oh, there's no ceiling in the airport. It was just some iron sticks. And on one of the iron sticks there was a big bat. Bats, they sleep the whole day with the head down. He was sleeping there like this. And then there was lots of mosquitoes who waited for the Western tourists to come. Because mosquitoes don't eat Indians. They eat the juicy, pinky Western tourists. So before my passport was checked, which was a long queue, I got bitten all over the place by the mosquitoes. That was the welcome committee in India. Then we got into a bus, which looked like my grandfather was probably driving in a vehicle like that. I hope the bus has 4 wheels. We got in bus, and the next thing, of course, immediately I realized it's hot here. It's very hot. Indians are like, ah, la, la, la. They don't even sweat much. We were like, oh, it's so hot here, Fortunately, the bus had no windows, so it was naturally air conditioned. And then we start to drive. I never saw anything like this in my life. The bus driver looked like somebody who definitely didn't have a driving license. He was like, and the bus was going this way and that way. And then I look at the road. I was going, this is no road. There's no road here. The bike was going bang, bang, boom, And then, and then the bus stopped. It was still in Delhi. It stopped in the traffic. And I looked in the back, and there was 2 camels sticking the head into the bus in the back. Camel with this big mouth. Going, where did the camels come from? Ah! Because there was some big cart, pulled by camels. And they couldn't brake fast enough. So when the bus was braking, they just came into the bus in a window in the back. Then we arrived in Holy Dham. Vrindavan. You cannot imagine what Vrindavan was 1978. It was 1 year after Srila Prabhupada departed. It was such a quiet place. There's nobody there. We came out of the bus, and there was this simple Vrindavan villagers, walking. He never saw a white devotee, white man in a dory with tilak. So he was going, hey, acha, Radhe, Radhe. And then he immediately made the dandavat. He immediately bowed down to my feet. because they thought we are some kind of demigods. We knew we are not demigods. So, so we were shocked. We were just like, everything was different. And then they took us, it was a very simple, quiet place. And there was already devotees who were very experienced in that local area. They knew all the holy places where Krishna performed his pastimes. Dinabandhu was one of them. He was an amazing devotee. And then there was one Mataji. She lived already in Vrindavan before she met Prabhupada. Western Mataji. And she was completely attached to that place. So she knew all the places which were not yet really much established. There were not that many temples. Now in a city in Vrindavan there are many temples, but I was amazed how neglected they were. I thought this is all just, wow, shiny big buildings. Nah, not really. It was very neglected. And so they took us outside of Vrindavan, walking to Govardhan. Krishna lived at Govardhan Hill. Then we went to Radharani's birthplace, and all this, visiting these places. And normally what we did, being used from the West in our preaching spirit, we were all young, brahmacharis, celibacy student. Everybody was like that. There was not really married man. So it was just like that. So we were like, okay, we go to the Holy Dham, we have to chant Hare Krishna. So we always had these big kirtan processions, I remember in Varshana, in the village where Radharani appeared, we came, this is Varshana Palace and this, and down there is a village. We came there to the village. Like I said, the oldest member on that party was maybe 24, 25 years old. And we were like 50 of us. And we were just chanting, and the villagers were shocked. They never saw anything like this before. They never saw white devotees. What to speak of such a number? Or what to speak of chanting enthusiastically like that? They were shocked. Some devotees tried to offer them even our little Indian Bhagavad Gita, which was printed already. Well, they couldn't read. Most of them were illiterate. So they were like, and just bowing down to Bhagavad Gita, that was it. But the worst what happened was, I remember we were standing in the middle of the village. All the girls came. Young, beautiful Indian girls. And they all came out with such an innocence, looking at these white young boys. And they were all coming out looking at us like this, smiling. Now I remember the whole kirtan went out of tune. It was Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, jung, 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 until the leader starts to laugh. He was laughing. And he was going, Prabhus! And he was going, Namaste, Namaste, praying to Lord Nrsingadev. So we come back on track again, because we never saw anything like this. It was so pure, so innocent. This is just to illustrate, and you can still find it in India. People being so simple, so innocent, looking. What are you doing? Oh, a nice boys, white boys, yes. And they were looking at us like, and the problem is they were really beautiful, that was really a problem. And I remember the whole kirtan was completely, so finally we had to walk on, we have to walk out of there. I always remember the scene, how innocent and how pure, because these girls were never actually really abused. They were completely protected. Because it happens until today in India, when you start to do something foolish thing with some girl in India, in village, the whole village will come down on you. And these girls know that. They know. If this strange man tries to abuse me, the whole village will come down on you. Maybe you end up hanging on a tree. It still happens in India. The police comes and there's a man hanging on a tree. And they go, what he has done? Well, he was abusing people here. He said, you hanged him? He said, yeah. Who did this? And they go, us, the whole village. Well, how do you put a whole village in jail? Not possible. Then the police goes usually, can you take him down, please? And don't do it again. And then they drive away. And this is the end of the story. It can still happen in India. Very dangerous. When the whole village comes down on you, very heavy. You know, personally, I fully approve. Great. There should be more of these guys hanging on the trees. That helps. So, you know, whatever. But it's just to illustrate how simple and how innocent things were. Here in the West, nobody trusts anybody. It's all like, where is this coming from? What does he want? Huh? You know why Western people come together? Sometimes every weekend they come together and they have a party. And they are very happy. Because they are all drunk, that's all. It's all by alcohol. He is drunk. Well, that's not really happiness. So this is still to illustrate how wonderful India still can be. I don't know today. They are, for sure. Time progressed, you know, and there is certainly, you know, much can happen in India, much violence. But even violence I found very simple in India. Was a man come with a stick, you know, or with a chopper and going, oh! And you go, oh! And he goes, you know, you can chase him away like a monkey, no problem. You know, one man, village not, but one man, I never had a problem with this. You know, even some Indian got upset with me or whatever, started to push. I just push back, that's it. Because in India works on push, you know, who is pushing more? That's the winner, you know. Even ladies are like that. Oh boy, I always laugh in Western, the propaganda, the suppressed women of India. These fools never were in India. Just go to India and look. I never met such a heavy ladies like in India, especially in Rajasthan. Oh boy, when you go to Rajasthan, it's like, you know, the ladies go and they just go boom, bang, you know, bang. I remember when I came first time to Jaipur, I walked just the main street, that's also a long time ago. There was no ISKCON established in Jaipur. So that was also quite spectacular. I was a Western devotee, dressed like this. I was still a brahmachari. I was actually living in celibacy. That's a long story. I was in Sweden already, but I went to Jaipur. So I end up in Jaipur walking on the main street. I remember this Mataji, you know, in Jaipur ladies, they are heavy. They almost have a features like man, you know. And they have this heavy, heavy jewelry. You know, it's from here to there, just bracelets. And they have gold everywhere. And there was one of these ladies coming from a side street. And she knew some of the devotees already. She looked at me going, Hare Krishna, come here. I was going, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, we call women mothers, you know. Yes. She was going, come. It was like police. And I was like, okay. Then I followed her in a side street, and there was a little door open. There was a room. And she pushed me into the door. You're going, go in. So I went in her room. You're going, sit down. And I was like, okay. Then I sit down. And then she brought a big plate like this with prasad. Prasad? Prasad, take Prasad, eat, Prasad. I was going, oh, this is a Jaipur hospitality here. Wow. It was a lot. And Jaipur Prasad, probably offered to Durga, not exactly Vaishnavas, everybody. So, it's so hot, you cannot imagine. It's just chili and more chili and one chili more and this and so I ate just a few bites, was going and she was sitting there looking at me going, eat, Prasad, eat, Prasad, eat. I had to eat the whole plate in front of her. And then she went to the kitchen and was going, oh, now she brings more. Was going, I was going, thank you very much. And she looked there and she was going, Prasad, now you can go. It was like visiting a police station. So this is Jaipur, I was laughing. You go in a bus, those days, the buses were so, I don't know today, but the buses were so full, completely packed. Then comes a lady, and she grabs a man, throws him out of the bus, and then there's one seat free, and then she takes a seat. The man is flying out of the bus. She goes, the cat, I was going so much. I mean, it doesn't happen in Malmö. I was going so much for suppressed women in India. It's incredible. As a matter of fact, as it is the case in the West also, much of the preaching, congregational preaching in India is done by ladies. I had a practical experience of that. It's not even 4 years ago, I was in South India, in Bangalore. And the devotees wanted me to accommodate me in Bangalore and show me the temple. And I said, I saw enough temples. I want some program. Have you some program, right? Some preaching. Otherwise, I'm a very unpleasant person when I am not having a chance to have a program for a long time. So, and he was going, okay, we can arrange program. I end up with 3 programs a day. It was incredible. There's always people who say, come on, program. And it was all brahmachari, heavy brahmachari crew. This is in the city of Salem, this close to Bangalore. So heavy brahmachari crew. And they were all managing with ladies in the congregation. And I said, of course, most of the ladies were married, actually. And they had this, I was laughing because when I first time came 78 to India, women were not allowed to drive a car. There was no driving license for women. There was already a Mataji preaching party from the temple, from the ISKCON temple, but they had their own driver. It was a man. So, but now, of course, it's completely different. Ladies are driving and they all have the scooters, Every lady has a scooter, and they're just zooming here and there. And then, and I was amazed, and I told the brahmachari, every program I do is arranged by ladies, and not one, many. And they said, yeah, we know, what can we do? They are the first ones who are enthusiastic, and you know what? When they are enthusiastic, they arrange programs, then the husbands come behind. I was going, oh, that's a quite amazing preaching here, And I saw the husbands come behind, they sit like in the back, I go, yeah. And the ladies are just, arranging the program. It was very nice, actually. I was 3 programs a day. I was completely in bliss in the evening, because the only problem is that you have to prasad. There's always prasad. So 3 times a day prasad of that caliber. I'm not used to this. And I'm not even used to that kind of prasad. It's, again, chili and more chili and all this. And they go, it's very tasty, very tasty. And I go, But Prabhupada said, India, you preach just by eating. That was Prabhupada's Because when Prabhupada came first time with his disciples to India, they saw it. And they saw they never saw it in their life. In the West, it's not like that. And you start to preach in Norway, you know what they give you as prasad? A cup of hot water from the water tap. It happened to me. You get hot water like this and welcome to Norway. Not devotees, it's a kind of congregational thing, you know. But yeah. In India, it's 20 Matajis in a kitchen, 10 Matajis in a kitchen. And they are all like, prasad, prasad. And then they bring, and you think, oh, that was it? No, it's just the beginning, you know. And it's just like, it's can become demanding. You eat the whole day. So, but this is what you have to do. And this is something which is very needed to do. So anyway, India is a whole, it's like for me like going to another planet. When you come from here, it's like, you know. But I just wanted to illustrate that how simple it can be in Krishna consciousness. And this is the power, like in India. And everywhere I went, the most receptive people for Krishna consciousness are the simple ones. Prabhupada said it is simple for the simple ones and complicated for the complicated ones. So why to make it so complicated? What do we want? We want people to chant, to come together, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, remember Krishna more. That can be done in a very simple fashion. You don't need some very, very complicated arrangement for that. We don't need even a big temples. In India, it's very valuable because people do come to the temple. Here, all the temples I know in Europe are in trouble. There is more deities sometimes as devotees in a temple. Then you are in trouble. In India, you have deities, you have thousands. They don't know how many people are coming. You know, I mean, you go to any temple. That Vrindavan I described to you, 1978, doesn't exist anymore. There's thousands and thousands of people whole year round coming. So many. In Appearance Day of Lord Chaitanya in Mayapur Dham in Bengal, you have 1.5 million people coming. Just guess from Calcutta. How do you manage 1.5 million people? Just the arrangement for the security and all this is a huge thing. They have a bamboo stick corridors, you know, where the people can walk through. Otherwise, it will be getting completely out of control. 1.5 million people, where do they park the car? You know, fortunately, India is quite a big place, and ultimately not really that much management. So this is another beauty of India. Everybody finds some other way to do it. In a very pragmatic, in a very practical way. Yeah, well, there's some space, let's squeeze in, you know. This is like that, you know. You book a seat on a bus, you can forget it. There will be somebody else sitting there, you know, or maybe somebody was sitting on you. I traveled on train from Calcutta to Delhi, night train. I end up with a lady sitting on my lap. Fortunately, she was not very young. And she was just, no space. So she was just blank, you know, and I had this lady on my lap for hours. And she just turned around, she started to open boxes again. Prasad, prasad. She started to feed me. And I was like, okay, well, now I have a whole night. I have a lady on a lap and I eat the whole night. It's great, really, you know. This is traveling by train in India. I mean, just last year, there was a Czech brahmacharis going to India on a night train called Sleeper. There was only one problem. Not one single person on that train was sleeping. It was beds, but instead of on a very bed lying somebody, on every bed there was like 10 of people sitting. It was completely overcrowded. They sold too many tickets. And one devotee sent me a recording, on WhatsApp. He sent me a recording. He said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I am on a train to Delhi. I mean, you could just hold a phone like this. It was just like big pile of people crawling over each other, sitting on each other and talking and all this. And, this was a sleeper train, really. So it's still going on. I was going, oh, this is the same thing. For us, it's very inspiring to see that. You know why? Because it's a sign of piety. When people can tolerate each other like this, sit on each other, and feed each other, and talk to each other, that means they have a natural understanding. First of all, that we are all persons. And second of all, so what? This is a God's place, and God put us here. So it all belongs to God, and we all can use it because so there's not this privacy, this selfish, privacy which you find in such a organized, perfect way in the West. And there are not like just India, there are more countries like that, It's like, I'm coming from Czech Republic, it can happen, but you have to speak Czech. They are very limited. They are quite reserved to foreigners. But when they realize, they even know how he's born in that town. Then, I can just walk on the street, I can talk to anybody. But not too close, not some intimate issues. But I don't know why, it happens to me, especially lately. I will be there in 1 month again. People do talk to me on the street, just like that, about very personal things. Not just the weather is bad, and the politicians, they all stink, and all this kind of classical issues, No. They start to tell me about their family problems, and you go, I don't know, why is there somebody talking to me like this? Because I guess something connected to the age. They know that this man is finished, He doesn't have any programs anymore, really. He is finished. I can talk to him. It's no problem. He will not try to do something with me because he's finished. And basically they are right. So this is Krishna consciousness is based on this type of consciousness. It's all one and simultaneously different. It's beautiful to discover that, to be different and simultaneously one. And this is the movement Prabhupada gave us. This is actually what Prabhupada gave us by reading these books, coming together, chanting. That means we are all one. And simultaneously, we are all different. So if somebody wants to really discover this, he has to come to Krishna consciousness. Okay. I don't want to go too long. I can go for long. It's a big issue. There's some comments or questions still to that? Oh, yeah.
I have a quick question.
He always has a good question.
Thank you.
He is always, since I remember him, he had a good question.
Thank you. I had a discussion with one Christian, and he made an objection to the law of karma. He said that, yes, I'm getting some results, but since I'm not aware why I'm getting these results, it's unfair, it's unjust. So it cannot be like this.
Well, just imagine you will be aware of all what you have done. Wow.
No.
You see how merciful God is? He makes you to an idiot. Otherwise you will commit suicide. That's how horrible it is. So he's very merciful.
Yeah.
Very simple answer. It's just a simple thing. Don't complain about God. He's very merciful. Just imagine, we will all remember from previous life how we lost everybody, how we died and all this. You know how many depressed babies would be there? The babies will commit suicide right away after the birth. But did you ever saw a depressed baby? No. They are born, they are like, here we are again. Oh, yeah. It's wonderful. Let's discover the world. It's the same place they were before, probably, but they are discovering it again. This is Krishna's mercy. He says, from me comes remembrance and from me comes forgetfulness. Sometimes even I would like to forget something, but Krishna remembers me on this again. That's another problem. I go, Krishna, do I have to remember this? And Krishna goes, yeah. What to do with one's memories? Oh, that's another issue. That's then, how to not get hooked up on the past. So, but this, you see how limited they are in their understanding. They immediately start to complain about God too, So worshipful, isn't it? You take the reaction for my sin. You said you love me. So you take this reaction for my sin, and I will keep on sinning again. They say jokes about that. Intelligent people who makes jokes, who are not necessarily religious, but they know the hypocrisy behind this. They can discover that. It's not even offensive. I don't think the joke was meant of being offensive. But somebody sent me a picture of Jesus Christ with a cigar and with an alcohol bottle. And he's saying, smiling, he's saying, just keep on sinning, otherwise I died for nothing. The joke is not about Jesus, the joke is about the hypocrisy of these people. They want him to die for the sin and so they can keep on going, that's all. And then they complain, why cannot I understand? Our understanding is simple. Srila Prabhupada once demonstrated when he was asked by a reporter, you are speaking about previous lifetimes, so what were you in previous lifetime? And instantly Prabhupada answered, a fool. You know why? Because I'm born here again. Very short answer. It was so short the reporter was shocked. It's a simple answer.
Here in the West, I guess a lot of people are already sophisticated. How would you recommend them to become more simple, to be this pure, simple in life? Yeah.
That requires a cultivation of intelligence, completely contrary to the materialistic understanding. One of the austerities of the mind, Krishna is describing in Bhagavad Gita, is simplicity. Because by nature the mind is not simple. So it requires intelligence, which is situated above the mind, to be like a censorship, like filter. Yeah. Oh, this is not needed to think about. This is not needed to learn. This is not needed even to speak about. This is for intelligent people. But unfortunately, intelligence was defined in an academic sense that things has to become more complicated. You can see a big scientific research, more questions came up. They are researching the universe with the telescopes. It's more mysterious. And they are researching the microcosmos with the microscope, and they go, it's more mysterious, it's more endless. Well, that's stupid. Simplicity means you address the principle. What is important? Simplicity actually is based on a very pragmatical understanding of life. What is needed to be known and what is not needed to be known. You can go and study in a university, but what will help you to know how many different ants are living in the Amazon forest? Great. You can even get a Nobel Prize. You discovered another breed of ants. What is the meaning of that? They're living there, yeah. What has this to do with me? I'm in Mama. What has this to do with me? Does it make me happy? Because we want happiness, right? And happiness you can get so simply. Like chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, every child can do that. To remember Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is, can be done. And you become happy. So it's so simple that we don't even get it. To understand that everybody has to die, it's so simple. You have to believe in it, it's happening all the time. Just go in the graveyard and look. But nobody understands this really. They all make plans like they live forever. It's amazing. And this is one of the really basic flaws and mistakes of academic education, that they define simple being primitive. And this is just so primitive. No, this is genius. So simple, people, even devotees sometimes are embarrassed. I'm so simple. Yesterday a devotee wrote to me, I know, and he wrote me a very fancy and very long text. Czech devotee. Czechs are very good at this. They can speak so complicated, you cannot imagine. Not complicated, in a flowery, very flowery. It's like poetry almost. It was a long text. But actually, between the lines, you could read what his real problem was. He said, I think too much, and I would rather like to be a simple, what he calls a simple Shudra worker, which he actually is, I'm sure of that. The whole nation, Czech means Shudra. So, but he knew it. He already knew where the problem is. I'm kind of complicated, isn't it? Even in a text he wrote to me, when I read now what I wrote to you, it's quite complicated, isn't it? And I wrote to him back, yeah, you're absolutely right. Sounds complicated, but because I know Czechs and I'm coming from that thing, so I just wrote to him, you just mentioned Shudra. Shudra is classified as a simple person who likes to serve. He loves it actually. He loves to serve. He's satisfied. I serve so nicely. Is it okay? And you go, such a nice service, and he is happy, man. All the artists, craftsmanship, musicians, all Shudra in a Vedic category. Because they live from approval of the public. And to satisfy, they actually like to serve the public. Even a good comedian, he likes to make jokes. Why? Because he loves people laughing. He actually loves people. But this is the way how he expresses himself. So I wrote to him, don't even think that the word Shudra is something bad. Actually, it contains all the wonderful qualities of a devotee. You're humble and you like to serve. Well, aren't we all supposed to be like that? It's just some people serve in a different way, not like menial service. Some serve by teaching, and I serve by protecting, even physically. This is their service. Shudra will not do that. He will be, help. Then there's a Vaishya, the business type. He will go, well, that's a problem. How much money do you want? Come on, let's not have a conflict. I can give a donation. Just shut up. Or let's make business. I will sell you something, you will sell me something. You make a good profit, I make a good profit. This is the Shudra, this is the Vaishya definition of peace. And the Kshatriya, he will not ask anything of this. You offer him money, he will just slam you in the face. He said, you want to buy me? You want to bribe me? No, I just thought I will help. No, 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 no. You want to help me? Then do what I say. That's a Kshatriya. And Brahmana, a Brahminical, philosophical person, he will love to teach you. Even you have no brain. There's a problem with Brahmanas sometimes. They teach even people with no brain. Because he hopes that you will get some. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the Brahmana will always be happy. Please sit down. I will teach you how you can improve your life. And when somebody is improving his life, he is completely in bliss. He will teach you for free. He doesn't want any money. So this is different natures. But the principle is the same. To serve. And help people in their ways, in a simple way, to become happy and fulfill the purpose of life. This society is so crazy. It's like driving a car. The whole day you study how amazing this car is, how it's constructed. But you've completely forgot one thing. You're supposed to drive somewhere. So they are all, in the car. But they completely forgot. It's supposed just to transport you somewhere, you drive. When you ask him, where are you driving? I don't know. Oh, really? You got a car, you must drive somewhere. No, I don't know, I just like the car. This is crazy. So that's how we become mad. Get a big fancy car and you don't even know how to drive. Like in India, they drive anything. They have no driving license. The car doesn't look even like a car sometimes. And they still drive because they want to get there, It is to fulfill some function. That's simple and that's common sense. Oh my God, what I saw in India, what they drive around is just unbelievable. Sometimes it's like two different cars they put together, In Russia also, my God, what they create sometimes. The front is a tractor, the back part was a truck, and they put it together and it fulfills its purpose. So they don't even know what the purpose of the whole thing is. And the purpose is very simple. Let's go back home, back to Godhead. Let's finish this here. Let's do what we have to do, and this is it. Let's not make fancy arrangement how to stay here. Because it doesn't work anyway. It will not, regardless how fancy it may be. And even you come to a place like Sweden, which is nicely arranged, very nicely arranged. Is somebody happy here? Did you ever saw a happy person in Malmö? I didn't. You go on a street, everybody just. Anyway, speaking for Swedish person, but I don't meet even a Swedish person here. Everybody's like visiting here. People walk here on the streets and one is thinking about India, another one is thinking about another country, another one is thinking about Arabia, and they don't belong here. They're just walking like uprooted people. Like. I just drove here, I stopped in a shopping center there. There was a big fancy Mercedes parked next to me, full of not fancy people. Even the car didn't fit to them. They opened the car, there was so much junk falling out, and it was like a garbage truck. It was a fancy Mercedes. You never see anything like this in Germany or something. I go in Germany, it's like the car and the dress, and it has to be all a little bit fitting. Here, these people, they got a big car. And inside is just junk. And there were at least 10 of them inside. You know. And they were all, you know, unloading the garbage. You know, I was thinking, why, what has this car to do with that? Even the cars don't fit. So this is how uprooted and how estranged we are from what we really are. In India, I met such a beautiful people in India. I mean, I could tell you stories. I remember us going on this parikrama. This is just to end the whole thing. At that time, traveling around to more distant places, every year we had some other transportation. It was not buses. I remember one year they couldn't get buses because the buses are usually hired, you know, by somebody else. So they got trucks, old, really there's trucks, just blank, you know, in the back. And they threw a pile of straw there. And us being young brahmacharis, well, we didn't care. We just jumped on a truck, you know, yeah, full. The truck was full. And the truck just drove. I remember that straw, it was lots of straw there. It was gliding all the time, back and forth, because actually, before they transported us, they transported some oily substances. So it was just sliding, the straw was gliding back and forth like this. And the truck was just bong. It had no suspension whatsoever. It was just, you know, and there's lots of holes on the street. And just before the truck started to drive, the back part was like open. An old man appeared. I mean, he was very old. A typical local, renounced type, you know, just Hare Krishna, finished. He had just a little piece of cloth, and he had this bead bag. Old, worn out bead bag. And we were sitting there, and he just appeared. He thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to go also on pilgrimage. Why not? And the truck was already slowly rolling, and we saw him coming. He was like, you know, he was just bone and skin. And then we were going, Baba, come on! And we grabbed him and pulled him up in the truck. I remember he was so light, he almost flew over our heads. You know, it was just bone and skin. And then he ended up sitting almost on my lap. You know, because the truck was full with devotees. So the truck driver was driving, you know, bang, bang, bang. And this light man, I had to hold him so he doesn't fall out again. So, you know, so I kind of hold him. And he was like chanting. He had these beats and he was like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And every time the car was going bang, I realized there's something strange going on in his mouth. And then I realized all his teeth were false. And anytime the car bumped, they came slightly out. Because in India, you know, the dentist is not so, at that time especially, there was not much of a dentist to start with. So all false teeth, it was like one thing like this. And anytime the car was going, he was like, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. He always makes sure that the teeth don't come out. It looked quite a horror type, you know. He was so close to me. And I was like, whoop, whoop, the teeth coming in and out. And he was like, I was going, oh no. But he kept on chanting. Up to the point where we drove in a hole, which was so big, the truck was going bang. And all these teeth came out of his mouth and fell into his lap. It was just like, you know, just a mechanism. And then you're looking at no teeth. And then he gave me the most beautiful smile, one of the most beautiful smiles I saw in my life. And he put the teeth in a pocket, and he was going, completely happy. I was going, this is simple. I got so envious. I was going, this man will go back home, back to Godhead. He was so detached, just dependent on the holy name. Teeth, no teeth, anyway. Put it in a pocket, just keep on chanting. I was so impressed. I was going, this is amazing. Such a people you met in India, I don't know today, but I never forgot the scene about that big smile on that teethless mouth, you know. This is Krishna consciousness. It can be very simple. When I came to Sweden first time, 1986, one of my good brothers who was managing here, like the chief, he knew I'm coming to a completely new place. Never was in Scandinavia, never knew. One of the first advices he gave me, he said, watch out, it's no lack of subtleties here. Subtleties, it's very fine, very refined, very complicated. So, you know, it's like this. But it was not like this all the time. This should be a simple place. Skåne was just a, you know, potatoes, you know, bunch of farmer. It was a fantastic farming land here. One of the most fertile lands in the whole Europe. Incredible farming, even today. Just farmers, simple people, coming together in midsummer, you know, and going, oh, no, you know. Not a big, complicated lifestyle. Sweden was like this, very much. But then came the Nobel Prize. To have got the Nobel Prize. And how complicated is it now? And there's, I mean, every country has something very, very nice you can use. Like here in the Scandinavians, there's space. Lots of space. This is not everywhere in Europe. Europe is like, you know, quite patched on each other. So one can do things. When I came to Sweden in 1986, still there was such a spirit of even communal spirit, coming together. You know, Olaf Palme was saying, this is folkhemmet. We are all people coming together. And, you know, and people used to actually come together a lot and talk. Alternative projects, yes, why not? All the young people I knew when I grew up were dreaming about Sweden. This is the place you can go and do things freely, you know, freedom. Yeah. Okay, we have to finish now. Thank you for being so patient, listening for so long. So, let's try to be simple. Learn from the simple ones. That's what I do, actually. Sometimes I get caught up in a situation, I think, oh, this is getting complicated. And then somebody comes and goes, hey, it can be much more simple, you know, as you think. I feel like I'm getting old and maybe I will die. It's getting complicated. And somebody comes and goes, what? I'm older like you and I'm dying too. And everybody is doing that, so what's so complicated about that? You want to change it? No, I cannot change it. If I cannot change it, then what shall I do? I have to tolerate. It's just happening. Simple. And then meanwhile, I can chant Hare Krishna and hope that in the next lifetime I will not come in the same complicated situation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Prabhupada ki jai.